This is probably one of the best compilations of Brian Windhorst himself, exposing LeBron James for stacking his teams, refusing to be an underdog, feeling uncomfortable being an underdog, and basically being scared of actually competing against even or better opponents.
LeBron James has spent over 2 decades crafting a legacy that his fans call legendary, but the cold, hard truth tells a completely different story. Behind the 4 championship rings lies a serial runner who panics the moment the playing field becomes even slightly fair. Stacking the deck isn't basketball greatness. It is pure, unadulterated fear of real competition. Do you believe LeBron James is a genuine competitor? Or has he spent 23 years taking the easy way out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Which seems to be a compilation of multiple NBA veterans, Brian Windhorst, and others talking about LeBron James and exposing him for what he has been through the last 23 years of his career. A front runner, quits when things get tough. As soon as a team has his number and he sees he can't compete, he just runs to another team and stacks his team again and things like that.
Look closely at the entire trajectory of LeBron James's 23-year career in the National Basketball Association. Sports journalists, league analysts, media members, and veteran players have quietly observed a recurring theme that fanatic supporters stubbornly choose to ignore. LeBron James is fundamentally terrified of engaging in fair competition. Whenever an opponent manages to figure him out, whenever a rival franchise proves to be an equal or superior force, he refuses to stay and endure the struggle. He does not double down, refine his craft alongside existing teammates, or embrace the painful grind required to overcome athletic adversity. Instead, he orchestrates a swift escape, contacts other elite players across the league, and stacks the deck so heavily in his favor that winning becomes an artificial guarantee, while losing requires a complete operational breakdown.
Describes LeBron in such a beautiful and exact way of how he has conducted himself throughout his career and how he went about creating the super teams that he had created and how he tried to avoid true competition as best as he possibly could to simply every year, whenever he could, stack the deck in his favor so he can get a title. He's been doing it for 23 years, and he's been so bad at it. He barely succeeded 4 of those 23 years to actually win a championship. I want you to watch this clip.
To comprehend the full reality of this calculated pattern, you have to look back at the very beginning of his career, during his initial stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers. During those early years, even neutral basketball fans and purists held a high level of genuine respect for him. He was following the classic trajectory expected of an iconic superstar, reminiscent of Michael Jordan's early battles in the late 90s. LeBron was taking his lumps on the playoff floor, absorbing difficult postseason eliminations at the hands of established powerhouses like the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics, and attempting to break through that ultimate championship barrier. Basketball fans rooted for him because he represented an impressive young talent fighting against superior roster depth. He was an underdog attempting to elevate a small-market franchise to unprecedented athletic heights. However, the moment the challenge required genuine patience, internal development, and mental toughness, his competitive resolve completely shattered. Rather than putting in the hard work to elevate Cleveland's internal roster, or fighting through the adversity until he finally defeated the Boston Celtics, he chose to abandon the franchise that drafted him. He created the NBA's first orchestrated modern super team by joining forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. At the time of this partnership, Wade was universally recognized as an elite top 5 guard in the entire league, while Bosh was a dominant power forward coming off monstrous statistical seasons where he averaged roughly 24 points and 11 rebounds per game. LeBron looked at his fiercest conference rivals and realized he could not defeat them organically, so he chose to recruit top-tier talent into a singular lineup consother.
But the thing about it is, he's not comfortable being an underdog. It's not something he's done very often in his career, and he really doesn't like it when a team has his number.
Front runners, meaning when things are going great, we all in it.
I mean, he's changed teams in the past a couple of times when he's felt another team has his number.
When things are going bad, they pull apart.
When the Celtics had his number, he went to Miami. When the Warriors had his number, he went to LA.
LeBron has stacked his teams. Let's be realistic.
The Nuggets have had the Lakers' number. What's his move? He doesn't really have a move.
Played with so many guys. He's the guy who has led the charge in terms of super teams being put together.
Yeah. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete?
Past basketball legends who defined the golden eras of the league have repeatedly expressed their disdain for this exact strategy. Hall of Famers who competed against Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird operated under a completely different code of athletic honor. Great players of previous generations actively sought out opportunities to compete against the best players on rival rosters to establish their individual dominance. They wanted to measure their own capabilities against the highest standard of competition available. LeBron completely flipped that traditional paradigm on its head. He desired to gather all the best available talent onto his own roster specifically to eliminate any legitimate risk of failure, ensuring he could enter every single season as the overwhelming odds-on favorite. Yet, despite assembling an astonishing amount of star power on one court in Miami, his fragile approach to genuine competition produced historical embarrassments. The most egregious example occurred during the 2011 NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. Facing an opponent that lacked multiple current All-Stars but possessed superior team discipline, defensive execution, and mental fortitude, LeBron wilted under the national spotlight. When the pressure reached its peak, he shrank from the moment, delivering one of the most glaring individual failures ever witnessed from an MVP-caliber player on the sport's biggest stage. Instead of taking full accountability for his dismal performance, excuses quickly followed regarding the immense mental toll of playing the villain role after his controversial Cleveland departure. Rich Paul and close inner circle advisors spent substantial energy trying to reframe his public image back to a beloved star, completely deflecting from the reality that he simply froze when faced with a highly organized, determined opponent.
Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete? He's got to have all the best players on his team. He want everybody. He don't want to compete. He want to be the favorite all the time. It just pisses me off that a guy that great don't want to compete.
It's no way that, just hindsight, I would have never, called up Larry, called up Magic and say, hey, let's get together and play on one team. I mean, that's, in all honesty, I was trying to beat those guys. I don't know if they would have been on my team. If we'd been on our team, obviously, when you look at the Dream Team, they were on my team, and it wasn't too much of a competitive thing. I'm a competitive guy, and, I like to play against competitive players and, see what happens from there.
He's not comfortable being an underdog. It's not something he's done very often in his career, and he really doesn't like it when a team has his number.
Coward.
Furthermore, as soon as that initial Miami run encountered inevitable wear and tear, age, and health issues, LeBron displayed zero interest in sticking around to help rebuild the roster structure. As soon as the Miami Heat showed signs of decline and vulnerability, he surveyed the league for a more advantageous situation. He promptly ran back to Cleveland. His return to the Cavaliers was not some heartwarming story about returning home to finish business. It was another calculated business decision, driven by roster opportunity. Cleveland had managed to collect valuable draft assets, draft a rising superstar in Kyrie Irving, and acquire the necessary salary cap space to execute a trade for Kevin Love, who was statistically one of the premier power forwards in the game after putting up massive numbers in Minnesota. This behavior became his standard operating procedure throughout his career. Whenever a rival team established a tactical edge over his roster, LeBron sought a team change rather than internal growth. When the Golden State Warriors built a revolutionary dynasty that dominated the Cavaliers in back-to-back finals, LeBron realized his Cleveland supporting cast was no longer sufficient to secure easy titles. His immediate solution was to pack up once again and move west to the Los Angeles Lakers. Shortly after arriving in Los Angeles, he orchestrated a massive trade deal that forced the front office to strip away its young prospects and draft compensation to acquire Anthony Davis, another premier top 10 talent represented by Clutch Sports. Every single milestone across his 23 years in professional basketball reveals a player who is deeply uncomfortable operating from an underdog position. Whenever teams like the Warriors or the Denver Nuggets proved to have his number over a sustained playoff series, he lacked the pure, unadulterated competitive desire to solve the problem on the court, using his own game. Instead, he relied on front office maneuvers, agency leverage, and media narratives to completely swap out his team configuration for a fresher, more talented group of players. This consistent pattern highlights the dramatic difference between LeBron James and legendary competitors like Michael Jordan. When Jordan repeatedly ran into the physical bad boys Detroit Pistons team in the late 80s, he did not pick up the phone to arrange a joint partnership with Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins, or Hakeem Olajuwon. He did not demand a trade to a bigger market or look for an easy way around his primary rival. He spent his off-seasons in the weight room building physical strength, pushed his existing teammates to match his intense work ethic, and fought directly through the resistance until he finally swept the Pistons on his way to his first championship. Jordan went on to reach 6 NBA Finals, winning every single one of them while earning Finals MVP honors in all 6 appearances without ever having a catastrophic series meltdown. He completed a dominant three-peat, stepped away from the sport following a personal tragedy to play professional baseball, returned to basketball shape, and immediately re-established his supremacy by executing another three-peat. By contrast, LeBron has jumped from franchise to franchise for over 2 decades, repeatedly bending front office executives to his will, demanding roster overhauls, and abandoning teams the moment their future draft assets were depleted. Despite playing 23 seasons and continuously surrounding himself with elite all-star talent across multiple franchises, he has never managed to achieve a three-peat even once in his entire career. He has secured only 4 titles over 23 long years of stacking the deck in his favor. When you look at the whole picture, the evidence is overwhelming. True greatness is defined by facing your toughest rivals, taking hits, and finding a way to beat them with grit and determination. LeBron James chose a completely different path, running away from tough matchups, switching teams whenever things got hard, and forcing management to build super teams just to give him an easy path to the finals. Think about how different his career would look if he had actually stayed in one place and fought through the hard times. Instead of building a real legacy through hard work, he built a career based on running away from every challenge. Every time a team got the better of him, whether it was Boston, Golden State, or Denver, his answer was always the same: pack his bags and find a new team with better players. That is not the mindset of a legendary champion or a true competitor. That is the mindset of someone who needs every advantage possible just to win. The stats, the team jumps, and the constant roster changes all point to one clear fact: LeBron James is terrified of real, fair competition. Constantly fleeing from competitive adversity, hopping from one convenient situation to another, and forcing management to liquidate future assets just to grant him an artificial talent advantage is not the signature of a fearless competitor. It is the undeniable mark of an athlete who is simply terrified of fair competition. If you enjoyed this breakdown of LeBron's career and want more honest, unfiltered sports takes, make sure to hit that like button right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another upload. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.